Good morning. Welcome to the JIRA Basic Training Session 2. My name is Anush Kumar, a JIRA Administrative Trainer. So, in Session 2 topics, we will see some Agile Scrum terminologies which is necessary for us to understand before jumping into the JIRA software. So, let us understand the basic Scrum terms or terminologies. So, we will see what is Agile Methodology, what is Scrum and Kanban, what is product backlog, what is sprint backlog, issue and issue type. So first, what is Agile methodology? So Agile methodology is a software development or project management approach that emphasizes on flexibility, collaboration, customer feedback, and iterative progress towards the well-defined goal. It was created as a response of limitations on traditional waterfall method, which are rigid and linear. So basically, in waterfall model, what happened? Basically, first, like in software development, if some client come that you have to create one e-commerce website. So first thing, basically, what will be done? That is the data gathering. Where After data gathering, we will do the design of the software, your software architecture, your design. Then after the development will take place, and then testing, then release, deployment, and maintenance. So what happened in waterfall? If development is going on, then when the whole development process will be completed, then after the testing will be started. Okay. So then testing will be done. So in between, if the testing we find the bug, then again we will jump back into development and then again start the development. Then the development is completed, then again we do the testing. So it is basically a time consuming things, and large documentation process was involved in waterfall process. Okay. So now that's why nowadays we have moved to the agile scrum process, because in agile scrum, development plus testing is both done in parallel. Means if we are developed some small features, yeah, we have developed some small thing, at the same time we will test that thing. Okay. And we will show the demo to the respective client or stakeholder. So in this way we have reduced the time. Okay. So the scrum is taking less time than the agile waterfall methodology. So that's why nowadays we are using the Scrum frameworks. Okay. So now, what are the key characteristics of Agile methodology? So basically, Agile methodology, it follow the iterative and incremental development. Means iterative means repetitive work, means work done in small cycles. My small cycle that is called iteration or sprint. So basically, iteration or sprint is the duration of work. So typically 1 to 4 week is the duration of work of the iteration or sprint. So each iteration result in potentially shippable product increment. After every iteration, basically in iteration is the time bound period where the developer will actually start working on the user story. And after they have completed the user story, they will ship the shippable item to the respective client. So in here, both the development testing will be done in Scrum. Now, then in Agile, we also focus on customer collaboration, means continuous communication with the customer and respective stakeholder to ensure that we meet the customer requirement or not. Now, here in Agile Scrum, we will also respond to the change. If the client asks the change in between the development, then we will respond to change. That thing in waterfall model, that is a predictive model, in between the development and testing, if some change occur, then we are not able to change the things. Okay, we have to start from starting, and that is time consuming. So that thing is in Scrum, we can make the change in between the development. So that is the benefit of using the Scrum. That is the second point. Now, in Scrum, there is a cross-functionality. Cross-functional means self-organizing team that have all the skills necessary needed for the development of the user stories or the softwares. That thing is missing in the waterfall. In the waterfall, one person is good in the backend, so he is good only in backend. But nowadays, the developers like Scrum, the developers are good in backend, also with front end, and they are self-organized. They are doing the work by themselves with the help of the JIRA software. So that is the self-organizing team. Now, continuous feedback and improvement is a very good and important feature in Scrum. So, what in Scrum? Throughout the development means they are developing some feature. At the same time, they are testing this feature. At the same time, they are continuous collaboration and contact with respective stakeholder that we have developed this small feature. Is this thing is we are doing it the right, or you want to make any change, or you want to give any feedback? So in this way, the software development become more healthy, more accurate. So that is what continuous feedback is given with the client and stakeholders. So how we are getting this continuous feedback? With the help of, there are several meeting inside the Agile Scrum. That is a sprint review meeting where the client will give the feedback about the what the work the developer has developed, it is right or wrong. Then afterward, then second meeting is retrospective meeting. In retrospective meeting, the basically the team, that is the Scrum team, so we'll discuss what went well during the development, what did not went well during the development, and how we can improve in the next sprint. So that is the retrospective meeting. So this thing basically comes under continuous feedback and improvement. Now, common agile frameworks. So there are, we have seen what are the agile methodology. So inside agile methodology, there are several framework like Scrum framework, Kanban framework, and extreme programming and safe. So what is Scrum framework? So basically, Scrum framework, as we have told, is here in Scrum framework, incremental iterative delivery will be done by the respective Scrum team. So basically, in Scrum team, we have product owner. Basically, product owner is the owner of the product backlog. What is product backlog? Product backlog is basically a list where all the requirement will be kept. Then Scrum Master, who manage the Scrum team, and we have developers. And in Scrum, we have different ceremonies. Ceremonies is basically a meetings. Like we have a sprint planning meeting where planning will be done. What how we will work on the respective user story, how will we achieve this goal. This is a sprint planning meeting will done. When daily stand up is a daily meeting, which is happen daily in the morning. Here the developer will discuss like what they have work done yesterday, what the things they are going to work today, and any impediment they have faced. Then there are other meeting also like backlog refinement meeting, review meeting, and retrospective meetings are there. So this is a basic Scrum framework. Then second is the Kanban framework. So Kanban framework is basically focus on more visualizing the work. Means Kanban dashboard is more visual or appealing than the Scrum. So Kanban there is a one advantage. Like in Kanban, we can mark the limitation in the code. Means at a time, one developer can take one user story. After completing the one user story, he can then take the another user story. So that is called limit work in progress. This so limit in work in progress is what it means is that we can make a limitation to respective board or column, that at a time one developer can take one user story. Then if he have completed that user story, then he can move to next user story. But in Scrum, there is no limit work in progress there. So what happened in Scrum, one developer can work upon more than two user stories. So that is the major difference between Scrum and Kanban. So basically, Scrum we use for software development where we have the predefined goals. The requirement are coming in a uniform manner. But in Kanban, Kanban framework we basically use for like a IT operation team, and like where the data or ticketing are ununiform. The data requirement coming ununiformly, then we will use Kanban framework. Then second framework is extreme programming, that is XP. Basically, here we will do more focus upon test-driven development thing. Then we use extreme programming where we use where the quality of work is necessary. Then we basically use extreme program. And the safe is nowadays a new, that is a basically a safe is the upper version of the Scrum. It is a scale agile framework used for scaling the agile and large enterprise. So basically, scale is used in large enterprise application. Okay, it is upgrade of the Scrum framework. Safe. Now, let's come to the things like what is a Scrum? So, as I have said, Scrum is an iterative incremental agile framework used to manage the complex software or product development. And so basically we for project development or managing a software use Scrum framework. Okay, it is based upon fixed length or iteration. We have a fixed length and iteration in the Scrum that is called a sprint, where actual development work take place, where the developer will work upon the user story, complete the user story, then release the user stories. Okay, so Scrum we have different roles. As I have said, Scrum we have role product owner, who is owner of the product backlog, Scrum master who will manage the team, and the developer. Developer can be backend developer, front end developer, and tester. Then in Scrum we have the ceremonies. Ceremonies like this is the ceremony like sprint planning, which planning will be done. What work we will work upon, how we will achieve that goal, what things are necessary for completing that work. That thing will be done in sprint planning. Also, sprint planning, the capacities and velocity, everything will be planned in sprint planning. So now the second ceremony is daily Scrum. So daily Scrum is basically is a 15-minute meeting between the development team, where the developer will discuss what they have worked on yesterday, what they are going to do today, and any impediment or defect they have faced. They will work upon that. This is the daily Scrum 15-minute meeting. Sprint planning can be 1 to 2 hours. Then is sprint review meeting. Basically, review meeting is done at the last of the sprint, where the developer will give the demo to respective client or stakeholder that this thing they have completed, and the respective client and stakeholder give the feedback to the developer that this is the thing you have completed right, wrong, and anything. This thing will the feedback is basically given to sprint review meeting. And then sprint retrospective meeting. This is also done the last meeting of the sprint is sprint retrospective meeting. Basically, it is also of half an hour, 1.5 hour meeting retrospective. So here in retrospective, the Scrum team will discuss in during the entire sprint what went well, what did not went well, and how we can improve so that in next sprint this thing we cannot repeat. Okay, so this thing basically discuss in sprint retrospective team. So now, so Scrum we have artifacts. Artifacts is nothing but a product backlog is an artifact where all the requirements are kept inside the product backlog, and product backlog keep on increasing according to the requirement of the client. Then sprint backlog. uh, So all the requirement are in product backlog. From product backlog, 4 user story or 4 requirement are taken and put into sprint backlog. Now in sprint backlog, the actual work will be done. The developer will work upon those four user story which is being taken from the product backlog with sprint backlog. And increment is nothing but when we have completed the work which are given in sprint planning or sprint backlog, that completed work is called increment. Now, what is the use of the Scrum? Basically, we use Scrum in software development, where the work is regular delivery and regular collaboration and a structural planning is there. There we use the Scrum framework. Now, coming to second, what is a Kanban? So basically, when we create a project, we can create the project in two framework, that is Scrum framework or Kanban framework. That's why we are discussing here what is Scrum and what is Kanban. So what is Kanban framework? If you choose to create a project with a Kanban framework, so let's understand what is Kanban. That's why I have told we have further moving into the JIRA software, we have to understand some terminology short term related to the Agile Scrum. What is Kanban? So Kanban is basically a visual workflow management method that help the team to visualize the work. Limit the work in progress means limiting means you can make the limitation at a time, how much work a one developer can take place. Like here you can limit that at a time one developer can take one user story, then after completing then he can take the another user story. That is the limit work in progress. According to this, by using the limit work in progress and visual workflow, we get maximum efficiencies. Okay, that is and maximum efficiency. There are no fixed iteration. So in Kanban, there is basically no iteration. In Scrum, we have the sprint or iteration, but in Kanban, we have no iteration. And here the continuous incremental will be done in Kanban. So what are the key practices in Kanban? Like visualize the workflow means the dashboard is visual. We can easily see what task has been assigned to which person, and we can limit the working progress. We can manage the flow, and continuous improvement is done. So tools basically use the Kanban is the Kanban board basically. Now the use of the Kanban basically Kanban is used by support team, IT team, maintenance team, operations. These are generally used by the Kanban. So Kanban the requirement are unfixed means in Scrum the requirement is continuous, predictable, the fixed requirement. But in Kanban there is unclear requirement. The requirement not fixed. Sometimes you will get 10 requirements, sometimes you will get 5 requirements. So in that cases we are using the Kanban. So now coming to the product backlog. So product backlog is a basically an area where all the things will be kept, all the requirement, all the issues will be kept in the product backlog, and the product backlog will keep on increasing according to the requirement. So let me show you what is product backlog. Like here, this is a timeline. You can see here, this is a backlog. This is a product backlog. Here you can see written here backlog. This is product backlog. There are 15 work items. So here we have the bug user story means all the requirement are kept here. Okay. And this one you can see EM sprint. So this is a sprint. So what happened? This is a story. This story will be kept to the respective sprint. Okay. In this way, the product the item from the product backlog is taken to the sprint backlog, and sprint backlog is the place where the actual work will be taken place. So this is okay. We will come and see in more detail. Just I am showing you the visual view. After completing this theory, we will come into the actual implementation, how to create the backlog, sprint backlog. Okay, now moving to the our slides again. So as we have seen what is product backlog, now coming to the characteristic of the product backlog. First, product backlog is dynamic, means it will keep on increasing. Then in product backlog, we can store the requirement according to the priority, means high priority in a higher, low priority in lower. Okay. Then like high priority element will be in more detail, a low priority element will be in less refined. So basically what I have said, a product owner is responsible for managing the product backlog. Okay. So in product backlog, we have not only the features, it will have bug, story, task, and technical works, research work that is spy, and infrastructure needs. Now coming to the sprint. Basically, what is sprint? In Scrum, we have a sprint. So basically, sprint is basically a time boxing event of 1 to 4 week in which actual development work take place. Okay. Here the given sprint, the developer work upon the stories. Okay. So in Scrum, both as we know, the development and testing work done together. But in waterfall, first the development work will be completed, then the testing work will be done. So it will make more time than the Scrum. That's why the waterfall is replaced by the Scrum. Okay. So this is a sprint. A sprint is what? Basically a time boxing or time boxing event. Basically, a sprint is from 1 to 4 week. A small sprint, basically in generally in software industry, in there is they take generally 2 week sprint. For max, for some cases they will take 4 week sprint. Okay. Now the most important thing we have to understand what is issue. Issue is nothing but in project management tool like JIRA, issue is any task, work item, problem that we need to track or manage or work upon is an issue. It could represent something issue is something you want to fix, you have to create, you have to work upon is an issue. Simple. So in simple, issue is a unit or amount of work that team have to complete or work upon in the project. Okay. So this is an issue. Basically, issue is something which you need to work upon. So issue is divided. Issue is divided into different types. Let me show you what are the different types of issues. So basically, issue is categorized into many types. So first we will see there are like we have first epic, then we have stories, then we have tasks, subtasks, bug. Okay, these are the different types of the issue type. So first we will see what is epic. The first thing an issue type is the epic. Epic is the high level requirement, okay, which we receive from the customer. Okay, a large body of work that can be broken down into the stories. Like, so epic is basically the first thing in a software development. So epic is a large level of requirement. Like if customer said, create the home page of a website, create a user authentication system. So this is a large requirement. Okay, in home page we have the customer has said you have to create the home page. This is a large requirement because inside the home page you will have the like form to like filling like your user detail, password, login, registration with there. Okay, so that is epic. Now the epic is further divided into the smaller chunks, and that is called stories or stories. Now see what is stories. So story is a small requirement. We break the epic further into the smaller chunk that is called story. In order to simplify the epic, epic is further divided into the user stories. A like I have said, like customer have said you to create a home page. Okay, the home page is an epic. Now inside that home page we have a form to fill our data inside, like a registration form. So like as a user I want to reset my password by email. As a user I want to save my credentials so that I can log in into the website. So this is a user story. Okay, now further the user story is divided into the task, and further the task is divided into the subtask. Okay, so story is what actually a user is to expecting in detailed manner so that a developer can understand what actually the customer is expecting and what they will work upon. Basically, user story is written in such a format that a developer, on reading the user story, developer can understand, oh, this is the thing I have to develop as a developer. Like as a developer, I have to create a form so that I can save the user detail. So developer can, after reading the user story, developer can understand the thing. Okay. Now further the user story will be divided into the task and subtask. So first, let me go through the task. What is that? A general unit of work, technical or non-technical or non-functional functional work means what they want to work upon. Like as a user, I want to create a save button so that I can save my credential. So for saving a credential, what you need, you have to create a form. You have to create a form. You have to get the requirement. You have to create an API. So these are the tasks. Okay. So the story is further divided into smaller chunk is called task. Like for like as a user, I want to create a login button, or I want to create a save button so that I can save my data into the form. For where you will save the data, the task will be you have to create a database or user table. So that is the task. And further, the task will be subdivided into a subtask. More like you have to create the table. So how you will create the table? You have to do the MongoDB or some database implementation. Now, what is a subtask? A small piece of work that is a part of the user story or task is called a subtask. When we divide the story task further, then it is called a subtask. Like a developer has written the code. Now you have to also the test the code for testing. So developer test the code by JUnit testing. So this is the subtask. Okay, task and another work it is called subtask. So I think you have understand what is a story, what is a task, what is a subtask. Okay. Now coming to a bug. What is a bug? Basically, a bug is an error, flow, fault, failure, defect which generally occur in the code or your UI. Okay. If you like you want to log in into your website and you have entered your credential, but it is not logging. It is saying that your user credential are invalid. So that is the bug. Now what will we do? Let me explain you in detail. So basically bug is nothing but If any feature has been developed, then the tester have to test that feature, right? If if it is working according to the customer requirement or not. So for tester only we need to deliver to the customer. Means if you have created some requirement as a developer, you have to check it is working according to your requirement or not. If it's not working according to the user requirement, then it is a defect, okay, or failure. So these defect and failure we have to report to a developer. So how we have to report. So this defect is nothing but a bug which will be report to developer or link that bug to the respective user story, and then further the developer will work upon this bug and work upon the bug. Okay, so this thing that is the bug. Now we will see. Wait a minute. My laptop got stuck. Okay. So these are the basic things now. So we have seen what is task, subtask, bugs. Okay. So now we have talked about the some basic terminologies in session two topic. What is agile methodology? Okay. What are the Scrum, Kanban framework? What is extreme programming and safe? Then what is the definition of a Scrum? What is a Kanban? Then what is a product backlog? What is a sprint? What is a issues? Different types of issues, stories, tasks, subtasks. Okay. So that's now you have to remember this all thing before jumping into the Jira software. So remember this. So thank you. We will see you in the next session.
Contact us for the free job assistance. We will help you to get the IT job. Please like, subscribe, and share the channel for more regular updates from TeQSpoc.